Second hour from the SportsTownChicago.com studios. We are the Sports Renegades, now with you from 6 to 8, now no longer 8 to 10 o'clock. 630-403-5200 if you want to get involved with the conversation. Second hour.
The MLB November general manager meetings just finished, and Anthony Rizzo finished 10th in the MVP voting for the National League, and Jake Arrieta was 8th for the Cy Young.
Hendricks was, 7th in Rookie of the Year?
And you definitely know if Jake Arrieta didn't miss the first month of the season with that shoulder injury.
Or he could have been third or fourth.
Higher, yeah. And then the Cubs had made the rumors made a little noise when it was rumored they were trying to trade for Jordan Zimmerman, which didn't go through, which is a little disappointing, except at the same time you understand it because they are... The Nationals probably wanted Baez or Russell or Castro, which the Cubs were not willing to do.
Yeah, that would not have been a smart decision.
I would have been okay giving up like a package of like Pierce Johnson, Dan Vogelbach, Alcantara, and another pitcher.
C.J. Edwards or something.
Not Edwards.
You don't think Edwards?
No, not Edwards. They wouldn't give up Edwards. Something like that, which is the Nationals need a first baseman. Alcantara would be a versatile player for them because they need guys that can play multiple positions because their injuries limit some of their guys. And then, of course, they're getting a couple good pitchers in Johnson and whoever else they would want.
Yeah.
So, obviously it didn't go through, and I would only do that deal if it would only be for a package like that and you already had an extension worked out with him before the trade because obviously he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season.
Right.
And then, of course, Cubs didn't really make any news other than claiming sinker baller Don Roach off of waivers.
Yeah, who I'd never heard of. I'd not heard of him.
Move of the year.
It could be an underrated. It could be an underrated move. And then, of course, the Cubs. Are they in talks with Russell Martin along with like a couple other teams, or did that happen?
I think Martin and his people are talking to 4 different teams.
Right.
I want to say it's the Pirates, Dodgers,
Mets.
Cubs,
I think was somebody,
and
right?
Blue Jays.
Not the Mets. Okay.
No.
It's kind of funny that the Blue Jays are in the market for a catcher after signing Deoner Navarro to a 2-year deal, unless they just want to move him to DH, which he does look like a DH.
The Blue Jays last year, or 2 seasons ago, must have seen that 3-home run game that Deoner Navarro had against the White Sox and wanted to jump on him because of that.
Yeah. Well, he was a good hitter for the Cubs.
Yeah.
It seemed like whenever he was playing, he was hitting. That's why I was disappointed that he left because
I'm not sure how good he is defensively, but offensively he was batting 280 something about.
I think he batted 300.
Did he bat 300?
He batted 300
nice.
exactly with like 12 homers.
Yeah.
And then,
That's
course,
good for a catcher.
The Cubs replace him with John Baker.
Yeah, but, it's a backup catcher.
It is a backup catcher. So John Baker had like 15 RBIs, which isn't bad.
And he pitched.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pitched a scoreless inning, and then he got the game-winning run, too.
The funny thing is that Lester Strode taught him to throw a cutter and a changeup in the bullpen when he was throwing his warm-up session.
That's pretty funny.
But did you know Lester Strode is the longest tenured player or person in the Cubs organization?
I did not know that.
It seems like he's been there forever.
Player, coach, and front office wise, I believe, because he's been there since 2007.
Wow. Yeah.
That's it? I feel like he's been there longer than 2007. But that is 7 years, though. But getting back to the catcher position, I think... the seeing Wellington struggle this past season is one of the main reasons why the Cubs are on the pursuit of Russell Martin.
Yeah, that and the fact that they said they're looking for an everyday veteran position player, and other than the extremely ridiculously priced guys like Hanley Ramirez, Pablo Sandoval, and Nelson Cruz, who else is there?
Even Michael Kadire got paid pretty well.
Yeah,
the Mets especially, which was surprising.
They gave up a first-round draft pick
yep.
to sign him.
That's going to be interesting. That's either going to help the Mets or it's going to backfire.
The funny thing is that the Rockies said that they offered him the qualifying offer in hopes that he would accept it so he could stay another year.
And, did you hear that the Sox were interested in Pablo Sandoval?
I did.
But
They're not opening up their
that's
checkbook.
not going to happen. Because he's going to be worth a lot, and the
Red
Sox
Sox
don't have the money to spend.
The Red Sox, the other Sox, are actually reportedly going all in
Yeah,
on him.
I heard that too, and they're talking to John Lester. That would be surprising because I want John Lester to come to the Cubs. I think that's the most likely possibility for the offseason is where I think Lester will end up with the Cubs.
I read something saying that a lot of people in the Boston front office are pretty hopeful that Lester's going to come back to Boston.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I wouldn't be shocked
if
he went back to Boston. But there's just been so many rumors that he's coming to the Cubs because he has the connection with Theo and everything.
It's almost either Boston or Chicago.
Right. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. But that's why the Cubs could possibly get a guy like Shields or possibly Max Scherzer.
The Theo actually said that today that the rumors that everyone's hearing about the Cubs signing 2 of the top free agent pitchers is
shut them down.
He shut them down and said they're signing 1 or none.
Right.
He said they're not signing 2, especially when you think about it. Next offseason, there'll be Zimmerman. Jordan Zimmerman will be a free agent. David Price, Johnny Cueto, Matt Latos. There's 2 other Reds pitchers, Jeff Samardzija, Mike Leake.
Is Johnny Cueto?
Yeah,
is he available?
Cueto, Latos, Mike Leake, and Alfredo Simone.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy too.
And then he's
a good young guy.
Then you got David Price, Jeff Samardzija, and Jordan Zimmerman will all be free agents. So it's also kind of looking at next offseason where you could acquire another pitcher, and then that guy will be a year or 2 younger. So, I mean, I think it's a smart move, only signing 1.
Now, is Hamill a free agent this year or next year?
This year.
Okay.
He's been rumored to the Yankees have been in on him, the Braves, and the Astros.
He seems like he's the player that would go to a team like the Yankees just because, the Yankees need help with starting pitching, which they have for the last 3 years.
How about Brandon McCarthy?
I think the Yankees are going to re-sign him.
You think so?
Yeah. Same with Chase Headley. They'll re-sign him, too.
Probably.
Because I've been saying that Brandon McCarthy, I feel like he's an under-the-radar type guy.
Oh, yeah.
And you saw how well he pitched in New York.
When he's healthy.
Maybe the change of scenery for him. And either side of town, whether it was the Cubs or Sox, I felt like that would have been a good move, especially because you saw the back end of that Sox rotation struggle.
Well, and he had such high hopes, and then in Arizona, it wasn't really working out too well. But then the change of scenery, like you said, to New York, it really helped him.
Mm-hmm. Right, and he needs to stay healthy as well. Follow me on Twitter at rrisky16.
I'm at Hornig94.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Ryan Stuprich.
Tweet us all your thoughts. Call in 630-403-5200. Give the Twitter account a follow at the Sports Renegades if Chris remembers the password.
I tweeted from it today.
Did you really?
Yeah, I said it was official that Ryan is officially our 3rd new member.
Right, I think I retweeted that a half hour ago. So yeah.
So we're good to go.
So you remembered the password, and then give us a like on Facebook at the Sports Renegades. I think we're at 163 likes.
Moving on up.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering, like a month ago, we only had like 115.
Yeah.
So anyways, we were talking about the Cubs and the MLB offseason. And could you believe the 36-year-old Victor Martinez got $68 million?
It's pretty surprising, but the Tigers are desperate to find any offense. Try something
to protect Mickey.
Yeah, something to try to get them into to try to win in the postseason, which they've not been able to do.
Right, and another thing is, even though he's 36 and he probably isn't as good as his season last year suggested, he's always going to have a good batter's eye. He's going to make good contact. He doesn't strike out much. He walks a lot, makes a lot of contact, which that's the thing. He's not like a hitter that's just going to strike out all the time, hit for a low average. He'll hit for a decent average throughout the course of that deal.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, even the Detroit Tigers owner has said that he's not in the position to wait around for the Tigers to win a World Series.
Right.
He wants to see them win now, and that's why you see him spending the money.
And he's up there in age too.
Exactly. Right.
And if you look at the AL Central, the division could be a lot more competitive next year than it was. The Indians are still a pretty good team. They're like about 500 or maybe a little over 500. The Sox should be a better team. I don't know how you can do much worse with that team that you had last year.
Well, Belisario is still on the team.
Yeah, well, maybe he'll just be a last resort guy. Like if they're if they're up by 8 or if they're down by 8, you can bring in Ronald Belisario.
And with every intention that he'll blow it.
Right.
How do you guys think Paul Molitor is going to do with Minnesota?
That was an interesting pick. I thought maybe they would go after Rick Renteria.
I thought the same thing.
But
I thought they would too, but they don't really need like a guy that can manage the game really well. They need a guy like Rick Renteria. He was a first-year manager, didn't do the best. He still did a good job as the manager, except managing the game and all of that wasn't the best. He probably would have improved. It's just the developmental standpoint for all the young players was really what made the job that he did really good.
Right.
Do you see him getting another manager gig in baseball?
Oh, absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah, after seeing what he can do to help people bounce back.
Yeah, he could definitely go to a team like the Mets is a possibility. If Ryan Sandberg and the Phillies don't work out, he could go there maybe and try to build that team back up. But going back to Paul Molitor, I think he'll do an okay job with Minnesota. I know Ron Gardenhire is a really good manager, but his time was up there in Minnesota. So
right.
Yeah.
I know it was,
the funny thing is that about the Ron Gardenhire thing, he was a free agent the year before, and they re-signed him for 2 years. And after the first year of that deal, they fired him, which to me didn't really make much sense because just let him finish out the contract because he was a good He was good at developing young players.
He had been there for 13 years.
His first season was, I believe,
2001?
2002.
Okay.
So that's like 12 years. Yeah, that's. It's a long time.
Longest tenured coach in MLB?
Either him or
Currently?
Socha.
Socha's on the biggest contract.
How long has Socha been the manager of the Angels, though?
I believe 4 years. No, he's been there a while.
Because he was there when they were the World Series against Bonds.
He's 4 years.
Yeah, he was there in 2002 at
Right.
least.
He's 4 years into a 10-year deal.
That World Series was in 2002?
Yeah, it was 2002.
Jesus. I thought it was a lot more recent.
I think it went 7 games, didn't it?
With the Giants winning. No, Angels winning, right?
The Angels won. I know Scott Spezio hit like a pinch hit home run or something, and rally monkey stuff and all that stuff that
And that was the same
Angels were doing.
That was the same postseason where Dusty Baker's son almost got ran over
Right.
at home,
Yeah,
at home
yes.
plate, and,
Yes.
and JT Snow came and saved him.
Yeah, and then the Giants got rid of him after that season. Then he went to the Cubs.
Yeah, that was funny. They
Dusty Baker.
fired their manager that took them to the World Series.
Right.
So has Bochy been the guy since 2003 then?
I don't know if he's been the guy since 2003. I feel like there was probably a manager in between
Right?
there.
That's what I was thinking.
Because I think Bruce Bochy was probably still in San Diego at the time.
That's right. Because he
I
was
don't know.
in San Diego before that. That's
And
right.
he's a phenomenal manager, too.
Oh, yeah.
One of the guys I always wanted to see get back into managing was Bob Brundley. I think it's a little too late now for him. Mm-hmm. And he's a pretty good announcer.
Yeah.
I've always liked him when he was he
I
was a color guy.
I miss him and
caster.
Len.
Right.
He's one of the only people. He's one of the only managers to beat the Yankees in a World Series.
Right.
You know.
No, yeah, I agree with you, Risky. Him and Casper were pretty good together, and that's no
Yeah, they
knock
were.
on Deshays. I think Jim Deshays is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the upcoming baseball season. We're talking about ticket prices and whatnot. I think the Cubs and Sox are going to have better seasons this year.
They both will definitely have a better season.
You'd like to think
that's
they
for
can't
sure.
get any worse. The Cubs obviously are getting better because this year they might not even be trading 40% of their rotation at the
Right.
trade deadline.
Now those Cubs-Sox games could be a little more meaningful.
Well, the
at
thing
least.
is, those games will be more exciting because now this season is the year that Cubs play the Central, so they'll be playing 3 games at home and away against the Sox.
That's
And so-
right, yeah.
And now they're on weekends in August.
Yeah, and then they'll be playing some tough teams like Kansas City and
They have I saw
Detroit and Cleveland.
they have a home and home with Cleveland.
And I believe they have a home and home at Detroit, too.
Okay, so
that's exciting.
that'll make for some fun games.
Right.
You mentioned Ryan Sandberg and the Phillies. Do you guys see Cole Hamels being on the Phillies going into next year?
If
That's right.
The Phillies will
I
not
don't
be
know.
getting even anything remotely close to their asking
What they're
price.
asking for.
They want 3 top prospects. 2 of them have to be MLB ready, and 1 has to be really close to being MLB ready. So, in other words, they would want Chris Bryant, Addison Russell, and Jorge Soler from the Cubs.
It all depends.
How outrageous does that sound?
Yeah, that will never happen in a million years. But it would be. It depends if Cole Hamels wants to be with a team that's like in a rebuilding stage, or if he wants to win now. If he wants to win now,